I'm not sure they are in such dire straits. I was looking, I saw some data from our friend Filippo Ricci about how the annual wages of, in Spain, you have the sort of salary cap based on projections, how for each team, for Barcelona, that they've gone down sharply. And I look at it and I say, all right, let's put the Messi issue to one side. But this is a team that, whatever happens, has one of the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the world. It's a team that has got Ansu Fati, who is still the heir apparent. Obviously, he's been injured, right? But he's going to be back. Yeah. It's a team that has Pedri, who is probably the second most exciting teenager in Spain, and that's just because Ansu Fati's injured. And it's a team that has Frankie de Jong, who, is still young and productive, and you'll get many years out of. That's half a team right there before you get to Messi. And then you're going to get something from Jordi Alba for another couple of years. So, and maybe Ousmane Dembele can continue this form. So what I'm saying is, yes, you need to you need to renegotiate the debt, which you can do. It's not the most difficult thing in the world.
A lot of clubs have done it, yeah.
A lot of clubs have done it. You can't renegotiate the debt to the point that, you can say, oh, yeah, let's give us money so we buy Haaland and Mbappe, as that Muppet suggested the other day in one of the debates, I think. But you can renegotiate the debt so that you remain solvent. It's not as easy for Barcelona to renegotiate debt as it is for Real Madrid, for example, because the guy who's the president of Real Madrid also happens to be one of the richest men in Spain, who's got much bigger companies out there who deal with banks all the time, so who's got a lot more leverage than your random Laporta or Font. But still, they're Barcelona. They're an institution, right? So, yeah, there will need to be cuts. They'll need to be painful. I think a lot's going to depend if Messi stays or goes. If Messi stays, he has to stay on a number that you're comfortable with, and he's got to understand it. If he goes, you've saved yourself, you've saved a huge chunk of your football wage bill anyway. Am I being too positive here that this isn't this gigantic doom and gloom scenario?
I don't think look, first things first, right? Let's go back to the very start of what you were saying. And I think it's an important point worth making, which is that the really biggest club pleading poverty to push through a European Super League is merely cynical. It's opportunism. It's an excuse. It's not a reason. And I think it's actually a little bit grotesque listening to some of the ways in which it's being framed. But that's maybe by the by. Take it directly to Barcelona. I agree with you. I think there are the makings of a very good team there. There are 4 or 5 players who potentially are, among the very best players in Europe. I think with time, you would think that Pedri and Ansu and De Jong, maybe even Dembele, if you can get him right, are among the very best. A lot depends on what happens with Messi, and I think part of the problem actually is that there isn't really a structure in place, not just for deciding what he does, but when he decides what he does, and how much margin you then have to move and to plan and to prepare. Because at what point does he tell the club, okay, this is how it goes, this is how this is going to play out? But there are good players there, and the other thing is, this is the key point, I think, is that as you started talking about this debt across Europe, that's the thing, it's across Europe, it's not just Barcelona. It's not as if Barcelona are having to shed wages in desperate financial trouble at a time of economic boom for everybody else. So it's not as if they're suddenly looking at the market going, oh my God, everyone else has got 150 million euros to spend on one player, and we've got nothing. With the exception, perhaps, of Paris Saint-Germain and Man City, there isn't a team in the market that you say is absolutely guaranteed to be better off than Barcelona. And both Barcelona and Real Madrid, by the way, over the last few years, have been in financial difficulty. You look at Real Madrid, they haven't really gone into the market in the way that they once would have done, although admittedly, you add it all up and there's still a lot of money spent on people like Rodrigo and Militao and so on. But I think Barcelona is not that far off being a good team. I guess part of it is that we always look at this within the context of a very good side. So a slight step away, one bad day in the Champions League, and it's an absolute tragedy. It's an absolute disaster. Think about the Anfield game when they lost at Anfield. Now, look, the way that they lost, of course, was hugely embarrassing. The way that they lost was a tragedy for them, and it was part of a broader trend. They'd been beaten in Rome, they'd been beaten in Paris, in Turin. They would then go on and be beaten last year, of course, by Bayern Munich and absolutely hammered by them. But you look at that game at Anfield, that's only 2 years ago, right? Had they won at Anfield, or had they even lost, but just scored the one goal that got them through, or Liverpool scored one goal fewer, Barcelona would have won the treble that year. I have no doubt about that. Now, people will say they didn't win the cup final, they lost to Valencia. Okay, but had they gone through, pretty sure they'd have won that cup final as well. And so we're still talking about margins at the very top end.
Yeah.
So I think Barcelona have very big structural problems. I think that's true. But I don't think they're insurmountable necessarily.
It's still a team very dependent on Messi, and we saw that when he hasn't
Well, it's a
played.
club dependent on Messi.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not just a team. It's the whole thing is dependent on Messi, and that's why it's very difficult to predict anything at the moment, because it still depends on many, many levels what he decides to do.
But Laporta is the huge favourite, right? He should win on Sunday, and even if it's not him,
it looks like he's going to win, but we don't know that. But yeah, it does look like he's going to win. Yeah,
but otherwise it's Victor Font, and I mean I think Laporta is pretty confident that he can convince Messi to stay if he wins that elections. And many times he spoke, and they obviously have a very good relationship from when Laporta was the president in his first stint at the club. Do you? I mean, and again, watching the game against Sevilla and seeing Messi looks possessed in that first half, especially. Then I think he got a bit tired.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, and then he got a bit tired, I think, in the second half, and it was a much slower game anyway. But it looks like if Laporta wins, surely he's going to stay, right?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I genuinely do not know. I think what we have seen over the last couple of months is the signs of something that looks like, I mean, Pedri in particular, that looks like it's something that could encourage Messi to play a different role, to kind of take on the satisfaction, if you like, of bringing for a younger generation. The problem is, of course, that Messi knows that time is running out. And the question is, when Messi looks at Barcelona, does he think, I can win a Champions League with this lot in the next, how long has he got left? 2 years maybe? In the next 2 years. And I genuinely think his decision may come down to something as simple as that. Can I and will I win a Champions League here? And if the answer is no, well, okay, can I go somewhere where I can? One thing I think it's worth pointing out that you touched on there, Jules, which is that for all of the problems, one thing Messi hasn't done this season is down tools. Now, this is Messi's worst season, and he's top scorer in La Liga. He's had an extraordinary run in 2021. I think this is the first game in 9 consecutive games that he didn't score. He's performing again. Admittedly, Paris Saint-Germain is different.
Okay, so that Messi guy is pretty good.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.